For more on this year's BRICS Summit, I'm joined by Haiyan Wang. She's a managing partner at the China-India Institute, a research and consulting organization. Let's start there. I mean, he kind of gave us the laundry list of issues with Brazil, but you look at Russia, they're still dealing with sanctions. You've got South Africa's Jacob Zuma had this no confidence vote. India and China had this border dispute. All of this leading up to the BRICS Summit. Does it have any impact on things or not?
Actually, China and India standoff, had it not been eased, had that cloud not been lifted, that would have had a huge impact. The very positive development of that tension border disengagement really sets in a very cooperative atmosphere for discussing deepening engagement economically and socially. In terms of the economic challenges of Brazil, Russia, and South Africa, it's not this year's issue. It's not going to be resolved very soon. And all of those three countries would not be projected to grow more than 2%. Actually, Brazil, barely 1%. I think those challenges for those countries are long-term in terms of shifting the economy from commodity-driven to a more diversified economy to find new pillars of growth, and rather than relying upon commodities. But despite of those very divergent growth paths from that of the fast growth of China and India, that doesn't really impact the platform of BRICS as the platform for discussing deepening economic cooperation amongst the emerging countries.
5 other nations have been invited, among them Mexico, which has this kind of disagreement going with the United States. They say they're not going to pay for the wall. Trump says, yes, they are. And then this week he's tweeting about NAFTA. Do we read anything into the fact that Mexico is one of these countries that'll be there in attendance?
Oh, yeah, because Mexico is one of the top emerging economies. So it's not surprising that Mexico would be invited into the BRICS platform, because the intention is for the BRICS to become BRICS Plus, to expand the platform, to have a more influence on the global stage. And it is within the, I think, the founding spirit of more openness, more inclusiveness, more accessibility to emerging markets. Now, the timing of Mexico being entangled in this NAFTA being, renegotiated, of course, sets some clouds in the Mexico-U.S. relationships. But we need to remember that for a long time to come, Mexico would probably still be very much dependent on the relationships with the U.S., being the neighbor and being a manufacturing hub for North America and Latin America. So Mexico's economy will be dependent upon U.S. economy for a long time to come.
Let's talk about BRICS Plus. There's been a lot of talk about it, but I don't think a lot of people understand it. What is it?
I think it is just to expand the 5 founding membership bloc to a bigger bloc, possibly one to include more new members. We don't know who they might be, and some were discussing perhaps Mexico, perhaps Pakistan, perhaps Sri Lanka, we don't know. But definitely to include more developing countries to join in the dialogues and to discuss the common issues. Indeed, there are a lot of things that emerging economies face, whether it's addressing global climate challenge, whether it's to eradicate poverty, whether it's to improve global governance, to strengthening South-South cooperation and latch on to the growth wagons of China and India. There are a lot of common themes that apply to many more emerging economies. Why not having the platform being more influential?
It'll be very interesting to watch, and thanks so much for your observations.
Indeed.
Appreciate you coming in.